If you're looking for the best quality RV, should you buy new or should you be looking at a used unit that maybe has some of the kinks worked out? Hey everybody, welcome back to RV Miles. I'm coming to you today from our new Mile Zero studio. This is not what it's going to look like. We've got a whole lot happening in this space, but now we've picked a little corner to be sort of our temporary backdrop. So until we get sort of our big studio set done and all of our desks and furniture in, all the painting and building done, you get to look at Wrigley Field behind me here. But if you want to see the progress and you want to come along on the journey and you want to be the first to see some of the videos that come out of our new studio, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you get notified of any new video we put out. Today, we're diving into sort of a hot topic. It's been buzzing around on social media a lot lately, and that's this sort of great debate of buying a new RV versus a used RV in terms of quality. Really, it's stemming from people being fed up with the quality of units coming out of the major manufacturing plants. We've all heard about lots of issues, and particularly throughout the COVID era where parts and labor were scarce and demand was high. So anytime I put out a video that talks somewhat about quality of RV production, I see people in the comments of nearly every one of those videos saying, buy a used RV. It'll have all the kinks worked out. And today, I just want to talk about how it can be a lot more complicated than that. It's not necessarily a myth, but there are some major pitfalls in buying a used RV along with buying a new RV. But overall, buying an RV, it's a really big decision. And if you come away with anything from any of our videos, I really hope that it should be more than that. It's a big decision that should feel as weighty as choosing a home, because in many ways, it's very similar to that. Think of all the things that you go through when you buy a house. You have lots of ideas about what you want in that house, where you want that house to be, the things that you like about the kitchen, how many bedrooms it's going to need to be. You have a list, right? And usually you're choosing from used houses and new ones, maybe a new one built by a builder in a subdivision or even building one yourself. But when you buy a house, you have all sorts of people helping you through that process. Not only do you have somebody selling it to you, but you have your own buyer agent that is licensed and bound to follow some strict laws and a code of ethics, and so is the seller's agent. You have a bank who wants to see an appraisal, and that appraisal is going to be done by a professional. You can go on Zillow and you see the history of what that home sold for, and your realtor can pull up all the comps in that area to see what that home is really worth. And once you make the decision to buy it, you get an inspection done by a certified professional who's going to go through every little bit of it and find all the things wrong with it. And of course, that's going to affect the sale price, or at least the things that the seller needs to do before you actually take delivery of that home. And then of course, that home was built to some strict standards demanded by the building and fire codes and received some sort of certificate of occupancy at some point. And anytime major work has been done on that home, permits had to be pulled and the city had to look at drawings and all that sort of stuff. RVs should be given the same respect. You're not going to get all that sort of stuff, but you should be thinking about it in the same sort of way. They have all the same components as a home. You've got your furniture, you've got your stove and your fridge and your plumbing, and you've got window seals and a roof. Plus you have all of the components of a vehicle, whether it's a trailer or a motorhome. Obviously a motorhome's a little bit more complicated, but a trailer still has running gear and axles and jacks and all that sort of stuff. And often an RV costs just as much as a home. If you come away with anything from this video, I hope it's that buying an RV is more like buying a house than buying a car. And just like a new house will always require the builder to come back and fix a few issues, a new RV is probably going to need some initial tweaks. That's not something that's going to change in this industry. It's always been that way in this industry. And that's not something that's ever going to change. These things are built by hand. They always will be. There's not enough scale for the manufacturers to come in with robots and have an assembly line where folks put in the same screw and tighten down the same bolt all day long every day. That's just not how these things are built. Some manufacturers do a better job than others of getting that quality right in the first place and going back through and checking anything that might be wrong. but there's always going to be some things that are wrong, especially after that RV makes a several hundred or thousand-mile trip to a dealership. And that sucks because a lot of us think that buying a new RV is a lot more akin to buying a car than it really is. I wish it was, but it's not. For the last 40 years or so, car manufacturing has lived and died on quality and warranty support. And we tend to forget it wasn't the same way back in the 70s and early 80s. You were lucky if the door didn't fall off on a car, but car buying is really now all about quality. Think of the three major truck brands. If one of them all of a sudden has some really serious issues with their motors, they're going to dip in sales big time. That's not the case in the RV industry. There just isn't enough product sold out there, and there are so many brands. So RVs are basically that car that was sold in 1979, and some of it can be blamed on the manufacturers. Absolutely. The manufacturers definitely have a major role to play in this. The manufacturers can do a lot to fix this, and some of them are. And some of them are not. Some of them are just cranking them out as fast as possible. But some of it, frankly, can also be blamed on us. I could sit up here and I could tell you what you want to hear, which is a lot of what folks do on YouTube. But buyers take a big responsibility in the quality of the RV industry. And maybe it's not the folks that watch YouTube channels like this and really dive into all the things they need to think about, but the folks that just show up at the dealership and start looking. We often look at maybe 5 different brands that have the same floor plan. It's that floor plan that we really want. We really care about how the RV is laid out and how we're going to use it, as we should. But often we look at 5 manufacturers running the same floor plan and we just choose to buy the cheapest one because we think they're all built the same. And, they're built with similar techniques, but I got to say that just isn't true. And what's definitely not true is how different brands stand behind the vehicle that they put out. I think social media is really driving a lot of this right now. Social media has given a voice to the consumer, and we've been seeing brands that are known for standing behind their stuff or just less known for cranking out lemons doing pretty well right now through this downturn in RV production. And that really wasn't the case during sort of the height of the big COVID boom in RV production. A lot of the cheaper stuff was doing pretty well. But right now, you're seeing brands that people have heard a lot of good things about doing pretty well, and that's good. That hasn't happened in a long time, and I think that's a really great thing that's going on right now. But back to the topic. Buying new offers just, an unbeatable feeling of being the first one to be able to make memories in this thing that you bought that is, there from scratch. You are getting the latest features, the latest technology and design, along with that manufacturer warranty, which could be great or could be not worth the paper that it's written on, depending on how that manufacturer backs it up. You get to be the first one to lay in that bed, the first one to sit on that toilet. But yeah, it's also going to come with the need for adjustments. It's part and parcel of making a house into a wheels that feel like home. And that's something that people want to do. People want to make little updates and changes as well, but they're going to find some things that need to be fixed on any new RV. But with those concerns over quality, a lot of folks are leery or they're warning against buying anything new. They've heard of manufacturers not standing behind their warranty. They're hearing of floors dropping out of slides and roofs caving in and tanks falling out. And that stuff, it's frankly scary and it shouldn't happen. So maybe you should just look at a used RV that's made some other owner that guinea pig to go through that process, right? Yeah, that's certainly a possibility, but I do find some flaws with that logic. And the first one I think is the most obvious that pops to my mind. It's that person could be selling it because it has those problems, right? That's a huge reason somebody would sell an RV, is that it is just full of problems and they want to get rid of it. And of course, there are a lot of benefits to buying a used RV. Getting a used RV, you find the right one. It's like finding a hidden gem. It's had some time to settle. It's been put through its paces. And of course, you can save a lot of money. Used RVs definitely are cheaper. You don't take that big depreciation hit. Often you can avoid working with a dealer who's going to take a percentage of the price and maybe is driving the price up a little bit. But used RVs can have a lot of hidden costs waiting to unfold. And that's because RV ownership requires diligent maintenance. You have to get up on that roof 4 times a year, inspect that sealant, if not more often. You might go up there once a month, inspect that sealant, pull off the old stuff that's cracking, replace anything that's cracking. You inspect all the sealant around all the windows and make sure that that's all intact. You need to be watching for structural issues. You need to be going through all of the plumbing on a regular basis, looking up underneath the sinks and underneath the shower and making sure everything is staying connected and not dripping and not slowly leaking until there's evidence of it in a much more serious way. You need to be greasing the bearings on a trailer. How many people that own an RV and are potentially selling it on the used market are not doing that maintenance? And if you talk to any RV technician, as I do often, a lot of people are doing absolutely no maintenance and just fixing things when they come up. So you could buy a used RV that has been neglected. Maybe it's not so obvious that it's been neglected, but it has been neglected, and it could turn into a nightmare for entirely different reasons than that new one. Plus, I don't know if you've looked at the used market lately. I tend to find that used RV prices, at least on places like RV Trader right now, when a person is selling it themselves, right now are pretty inflated, and not because of the general rise in prices. Actually, the worth of some of these units is much less than some of these owners think it was. So a lot of owners bought high in the last couple of years and might be selling used, and it's not really worth what they still owe on it. So a lot of people are trying to get more money than that RV is worth. There's a lot of deals to be had out there, and you can find the right thing and you can find that hidden gem, but it is a harder process. It is a much harder process to buy a used RV than to buy a new one, because you've got to find that right unit. That might involve flying somewhere. It might involve flying somewhere for a new one as well, or driving long distance to get to it. And it might involve eating the cost of that flight and hotel room and all that sort of stuff when you get there and you decide that this was a bad choice and this unit is not what was expected. So what can you do? What can you do to protect yourself, whether you're buying a new unit or a used one? An RV is likely the most expensive purchase you'll make outside of buying a home. So that's why, much like buying a home, getting a third-party inspection from a certified inspector, I don't just recommend it, I think it's essential. Whether you're buying a new RV or a used one. Now, you might be one of these people that is super handy and that knows a lot about RVs. You've owned several, and you can sort of go through and look at a lot of this stuff yourself. But getting an inspection can really open your eyes to all the things that might be wrong with a certain unit, and it can help get those fixed in the first place, along with bringing the price down a little bit if there are some things that are wrong with it that reduce the value. An RV inspector will dive into the unit for like 6 hours, and they'll uncover the things lurking beneath the surfaces to ensure your investment is sound. They'll know what to look for to make sure that you can protect your money the best you can. It can give you peace of mind. It can give you leverage over negotiating price and repairs. It's a step you wouldn't skip when buying a home unless you're super handy, and it's a step that you shouldn't skip here. So I'll talk about where to find an inspector in a moment, but before I do, one of the things that you're going to really want to consider when you're buying a new RV or a used one is changing out the mattress. New RVs come with terrible mattresses. Used RVs might have that same terrible mattress where, it's just got a used mattress in it. And one of the places you can do that is rvmattress.com by Brooklyn Bedding. They're the sponsor of this video, and they are a great company that has lots of different options to fit those weird, unique sized mattresses in RVs from a real mattress company. A lot of RVs come with RV Queen or RV King mattresses. Most of them do, in fact, and that means that mattress is a little bit shorter. It's about 6 inches shorter than your standard mattress at home. If it's a standard size, you can put any mattress in there that you want, but rvmattress.com has a great selection of mattresses that are not just foam, but also hybrid mattresses that have springs inside them. Regardless, they all come rolled up in a box and vacuum sealed, so you just open them up and let them expand, and you can get them delivered anywhere, including to a campground from their factory in Arizona. They have a great 120-night sleep trial, so you can be sure that the mattress that you buy is the mattress that gives you the best sleep. We have mattresses from rvmattress.com in both of our RVs, and we have them in our home. No joke, sponsor aside, they are the best sleep we have ever had. rvmattress.com by Brooklyn Bedding gives you 25% off with the code RVMiles at rvmattress.com/RVMiles. Head over to rvmattress.com/RVMiles and use the code RVMiles to get 25% off your next purchase. Our thanks to rvmattress.com by Brooklyn Bedding for sponsoring this video, and to you for supporting our sponsors. So, new or used, get that inspection. And the way to do that is by going to nrvia.org. This is an association of RV inspectors, and they are all across the country. They are certified to look at your RV. You can also find them local on Google search and sort of see reviews of them. But once you've decided to make a purchase, you find an inspector and you have them come out and look at the unit wherever it is. They will come right to the dealership lot, or they'll go to the person's home if it's a used RV. Do not buy an RV from anyone, whether it's a dealer or a private seller, that will not let you have an inspector look at it. A lot of dealers out there will say, we don't allow inspections. We do that for you. It's part of our pre-delivery inspection process. We have a 150-point inspection, and that's true. Look, and I don't want to sound like I'm ragging on dealers too much. Dealers, of course, they're out for themselves. Obviously, they're there to make a profit. But more dealers than you think care about their customers. They don't want to sell you a unit that you're going to come back with and have lots of issues with. They don't want it to be clogging up their service shop. They want it to be in good shape. But some of them are better at doing that sort of pre-delivery stuff than others. And some manufacturers are better at doing that in the first place at the plant before it goes off to the dealership. A lot of people say this thing where the dealer is sort of the last station on the production line. So that unit leaves the manufacturer. Some of them, by the way, never get inspected at all at the manufacturer level. And then once they get to the dealership, the dealer is supposed to go through them and test everything. That's changing dramatically in the industry. More and more manufacturers out there are inspecting at least a handful of units that come off the line, like every fifth one or something. But the better manufacturers, they're filling the tanks with water. They're sealing them up and putting a fan in there so they can soap every seam and see where there are leaks happening and reseal. Some of them even do a road test where they fill all the tanks with water and take every trailer out on a 15-minute drive down the road. But again, the cheaper brands, they just don't do any of that stuff. So in this industry, you do in a lot of ways get what you pay for. But that dealer partnership is important, and you may, especially if you're buying a used RV, you may need to shop around. You may not be able to go to one of your local dealers and find the right dealer that you can trust. You may have to go buy that unit off-site somewhere. You may have to fly somewhere. You may have to drive hundreds of miles to get to that. Regardless, I think it's worth it to find a local dealer that you can trust that is going to be the place that you get service done. But again, if a dealership says we don't allow inspectors, or maybe just a particular inspector, they might say it's for insurance reasons or whatever. And they might say that no dealership allows inspectors. That is not true. Good dealers out there are happy to do it. Inspectors have to be licensed and insured. Their insurance covers any damages that happen to the rig while they're inspecting it. Damages don't happen to the rig while inspectors are inspecting them. If they do, it was something that was wrong in the first place. Anyway, it's going to cost you, $500, $600, $700, $800. But that expense is going to save you so much, even if you just have to eat that expense and say, I'm not buying this unit. That expense is going to save you a lot of money in the long run. At a private sale, it's going to help you negotiate the price so you can get those things fixed, or it's going to help you walk away. For a new sale, even if you ordered that unit, you paid a deposit in advance and you ordered it and it took several months for the manufacturer to send to your dealership, and that purchase is final or you lose your deposit, still have it inspected, because you want those repairs to happen while it's still at the dealer lot. Once you take delivery of that unit, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to get those service appointments. It's going to take some time to get things fixed and to get that RV to your hands. The average repair these days takes about a month. The average warranty repair takes about 6 weeks. If that RV is already on the lot and they're waiting to get that final check from the bank for the full price of it, they're going to be a lot more motivated to get the work done, to get that RV to you, if it stays there instead of going home with you. So things to think about whether you're buying new or used. In the end, it's really not about the RV's age or who's owned it before or not. It's about how well it fits your lifestyle, your budget, and your comfort level with maintenance and repairs. A new RV is fresh and clean and new, and it comes with the assurance of warranties, but acceptance of some initial teething problems. A used RV is going to give you maybe a little bit more character. Potentially, you're going to find something that is in great shape and, of course, a lower price point. But it's going to require some diligence in the maintenance history and condition of the unit. There are pitfalls on both sides. Remember, every RV is unique. Whether you're leaning towards the shiny allure of a new model or the seasoned charm of a used one, the key is to be informed, inspect it thoroughly, and choose what feels right for you. After all, what we all want in this industry, I think, there's a lot of talk about all the issues with units and how RVing is so difficult and everybody's going to hate it and all that sort of stuff that you hear from folks that own RVs and love them. But they think that the people that are going to buy them are going to hate them, but they own one and love it. There's a lot of good that happens with RV ownership, but it is certainly something not to walk into blind. If you don't have the ability to do all that maintenance or to pay somebody to do all that maintenance, you can pay RV technicians to come do all that maintenance. But if you don't have the ability to do that, if you don't have the ability to treat RV ownership like home ownership, it might not be for you. But we do want RV ownership to be the gateway to your next really great adventure. If this is something you've dreamed about doing, I wouldn't avoid it because of the quality issues that you've heard about in this industry. There's always going to be issues. You can tell people don't buy a 2022 RV because it was built during the COVID era and the COVID era units suck. Let's just take a hypothetical of a manufacturer that is sort of on the lower quality end, and say during 2021 and 2022 was really the height of the issues happening in the RV industry. The 2021 and 2022 units. 2020s were all actually built in 2019 and early 2020. So those aren't ones I really consider as part of the COVID era. 2021 and 2022 model year units, maybe even into 2023. So say you take a lower end manufacturer, say that manufacturer is 30% likely to produce something that you're going to have a serious problem with, or a host of small problems that sort of add up to some seriousness, right? Say they're 30% likely to put out a piece of garbage. That's a pretty high number. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a company any of us would avoid. If we were talking about automobiles and 1 in 3 of that manufacturer's automobiles had some serious issues, we would be avoiding that auto manufacturer. But say that now that COVID is over, that manufacturer's improved things so that 5 to 10% of their units have issues. Maybe the best manufacturer out there, 5% of their units have issues. That's still 1 in 20. That's still a big number. That's still scary. And that could be you. So it's not that a certain year, a certain age is going to guarantee you a quality unit or anything better than anything produced at any given time. I think you got to take each one of these individually. And again, that's why an inspection is so important. So I'd love to know your thoughts on this subject. I think my big point here is to not scare people, but to get them to understand the realities of this. You know, what do they say about boats? That boat stands for break out another 1,000. RV ownership can be expensive. You're going to have things that you need to take care of. You're going to want to stock up some cash for maintenance and repairs. And if you're not a person that does all the DIY stuff, you're going to want to have a dealer partner that you trust to help take care of these issues. So I'd love to know what your thoughts are in the comments on this issue, particularly if you've bought an RV in the last few years, whether it's been a terrible experience, whether it's been a great experience. What are some of the issues you had? What are some of the common things that people should watch out for? Let's leave some stuff in the comments to help people so they can know what to look out for as well. That's it for this episode. Whether you're about to embark on your first purchase or considering an upgrade, we're here to help guide you through. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more insights into making the most of your RV lifestyle. Safe travels, everybody. We'll see you next time.